AFC Wimbledon, the Dons. They're a team that's known for their rapid rise and then their dramatic fall. And today, we're starting our first FC24 career mode with them. Our idea is super simple. Every promotion will introduce a different transfer restriction. The whole time though, we're also only going to be able to sign players who have over 75 aggression. You might be wondering why. Well, old school Wimbledon were best known as the Crazy Gang. Our captain will invoke that spirit of Vinnie Jones, and our captains will always need to have at least 90 aggression. Olaf Mellburg will be managing the London club. He's got a history of playing in England and also a history of bruising tackles, including this one in a warm-up match against his own teammate. He seems like the perfect man for this job. But before we get into that, allow me to introduce today's sponsor, Opera GX. I'm sure you know by now how much I love customizing stuff. I've made my own FIFA mods, I've spent hours creating clubs, and now I even customize my own browser. If you're somebody that prefers someone else doing the customizing for you, allow me to introduce GX Mods. Check this out, it's the football mod for Opera GX. It comes with a theme that sounds kind of familiar. It also plays a football sound with every key press. There's different sounds when opening and closing tabs, and it also has a pretty immersive set of themes, wallpapers, and custom colors. If you don't like one of these changes, that's no problem at all. You can disable any part of the mod by using the sidebar right here, and it really couldn't be much easier. Check out the GX store for a ton of other mods with the link in the description below. If that's not enough, almost any video feed can be popped out and viewed while you're in another tab. No joke, this is a feature that I use constantly while writing the scripts for videos. I've watched Champions League games, I've listened to music videos, I've even watched Twitch streams, and they all worked really well, and I promise you'll love it as well. We all know how sad goodbyes are in football. My girlfriend literally cried for 2 days when Brennan Johnson moved from Forest to Spurs. But when you switch to Opera, there's no tears needed at all because your browsing history, your bookmarks, and your cookies will all come across with you. It's also compatible with every single Google Chrome extension because it uses Chromium, and it's time for your promotion to the Premier browser. Thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring today's video. While we're in League Two, we also need to restrict our signings to be only players over 23 years old. There's absolutely no need to buy potential, we're only going to be buying aggressive old men. Looking through our first team, we have a big problem. Only 3 of our squad is actually committed enough to play for our cause. Our captain is already here though. We've got this striker, a beast with 93 aggression and 90 strength. This is something we love to see. Thanks to so many swap deals, transfer listings, and released players, we get a frighteningly good budget for League Two. We'll totally revamp our team, and let's have a look at 3 of our key men going into the season. I don't need to say too much about Josh Gordon, his physicals speak for themselves. He'll be leading the press and hopefully leading the scoring charts too. At the back, there's no little man syndrome with Mihajlo Ivančević because he's 190 centimeters tall, and our Serbian Destroyer will be blocking everything thanks to his super useful playstyle. Finally, if you like massive midfielders, then you'll love Harry Pell. He was already at Wimbledon, and he's built like the League Two Milinkovic-Savic. Let's hope he's just as good on the ball. There's 2 dates in our calendar already, the 27th of August and the 10th of January. Remember these 2 dates because nothing will stop our rage and our passion on these 2 MK Dons derby days. Our squad is rebuilt and our boys are fired up and ready. As everyone punches the locker room door on the way out into this first game of the season, the new look Angry Dons are ready to massacre League Two. As Game 1 kicks off, allow me to introduce our yellow card table. Throughout the season, we'll be seeing who our dirtiest player is, so make sure you guess in the comments below right now. I have no idea what caused some of these men to be so aggressive, but it's really working for our football team. 7 yellow cards in our first game is irrelevant. We have 3 points after day 1. The Wimbledon snowball keeps rolling. We get 3 points in our second game. We have a shockingly bad performance that causes a loss in our third game, and we get a decent hard-fought draw in our fourth game. Now it was time. MK Dons at home. This is the team that stole our identity, and it's one of football's biggest grudge games. We trained knowing we'd need to move the ball quickly, and they were just as up for this as we are. Form was not on our side. MK Dons had 5 wins from 5 games, so we had to be on top condition for this. I'm still getting used to the new training and fitness system, but that wasn't helped by how high tempo this game started off. It was a passionate first half to say the least. It seemed like we were getting a yellow card after every single chance, until finally, we got this red. It seemed a bit soft, but we'll have to deal with it. Out of absolutely nowhere, we managed to find the back of the net. The fans go crazy, Mellburg goes crazy, and our players need to remain composed. MK Dons still have plenty of time to equalise, and you can see they want to respond almost immediately. Deep into the second half, our fitness issues start to pile up. 1 man down is a shame, 2 is unlucky, but 3 knees going in 1 game is an absolute disaster. Somehow, we defend for our lives and keep Milton Keynes out. Such a scrappy game, but one we're more than happy to take the win from. 3 points and another 5 yellow cards. Before we can even identify a single replacement for our injured trio, the transfer window slams shut. Thankfully though, they won't be out for too long. It'll still make that run to January way harder for us though. We never really got into the groove or in any kind of form until after Halloween. Every win until then was followed by a loss, every draw was caused by a late goal, and we tried as hard as we could to unify the team. It was quite clear though that it had been patched together without much thought. We had a bunch of fast players out wide, but we had no one who could actually pass the ball in behind. We had tall strikers who wanted crosses, but then all of our wingers wanted to cut inside and shoot. This is the biggest lesson of Olaf's career so far. Despite our faltering form though, we do find ourselves pretty well inside the playoffs with a real shot at potentially grabbing 3rd place. Even better news is that MK Dons reacted to our victory very badly. As they tumbled down the league, it looks like we're starting to pick up a little bit of momentum. Well, kind of not. With so much upheaval back in August, it was inevitable that one of our signings wouldn't work out. Nico Antoniš has played so well for 5 months, but he's had a major disagreement with Ivančević. It might have been a cultural misunderstanding, but we've been left with a proper dilemma. One of them needs to leave the club. We have a few weeks to decide, so we decide to force them to train together. Before every game, Ivančević and Antoniš will warm up together, they'll practice their kicks together, and they'll live together before every single away game. Will our plan work? Well, it turns out it did unify them. However, it looks like it unifies them with a joint dislike for Olaf Mellburg. Looks like we'll now need 2 brand new defenders because they both want to leave. The centre-back drama did come with some pretty adverse effects. The lack of effort and commitment sees us lose a series of pretty important games just before the transfer window opens. Our manager rating is plummeting, and there's actually whispers that Neil Ardley is going to return to Wimbledon after his spell as York City manager. The 4-4-2 formation isn't working, so I think it's finally time to switch things up. We have some top wingers in Anthony Knockaert and Dominic Kuhn, so let's switch to a more modern 4-2-3-1, get the wingers involved and keep pressing as hard and high up the pitch as possible. This was extra important to do after I noticed who our next match was against. If there was one game we wanted this losing streak to end on, it was this one. Early in the window, before we could even replace either of our centre-backs, we were facing Milton Keynes yet again. Their form had tailed off after we ended their unbeaten start, but they were still playoff contenders just like we were. This was the 15th game between these 2 teams, and Wimbledon were looking for their 4th win. Just like in the other match, we trained super hard for this one. We went for shooting practice just to make sure we were clinical in the box. We weren't going to get too many chances, we knew we had the ability to kick MK Dons off the pitch and hopefully keep a clean sheet. The new formation seemed to be working. We were getting the ball into Knockaert at attacking midfielder, and he was running the game for us. Finally, we got this clear-cut chance. The ball fell for us, and we were ahead yet again, just like in August. We went full defense mode. We want to hold on to this lead, and could we get a second 1-0 win over MK Dons in one season? Unbelievably, MK Dons make a second defensive error. Bugiel is through, and thankfully for us, he makes the most of it. Everyone holds their breath. MK Dons nearly get back into the game, but the referee blows the whistle. Finally, a victory for Wimbledon. We spent the rest of January rebuilding our defence. It's hard to find players that we can afford that also fit in with our aggressive ethos, but Jack Iredale and Tomislav Uskok are 2 very angry looking Australians. They might not be as fast as a kangaroo, but they can punch just as hard as one. The revamped defence takes a few games to build some chemistry. They do a few mistakes here and there that cost us points, but slowly things start to improve. By the end of February, we'd improved from a mid-table finish to being just a few points off the playoffs. Automatic promotion is basically impossible at this point, but that doesn't stop the board offering us an ultimatum. If we can't finish in the playoffs and win them, our big journey will be over before it even begins. Throughout the rest of the season, we kept stuttering towards it. Just like before, every win was followed by a loss, but now we were the ones claiming draws with late goals. It might seem like a small change, but we were finally getting that mentality of winners. Josh Gordon was a massive part of this. His goals were the only thing keeping us in a job just a few weeks ago, and now they had solidified us as a firm playoff contender. Despite the improvement in form, we weren't actually in that great of a position. We were in the playoffs, we played all 46 of our games, but the other two teams below us still had 2 games in hand. They could easily overtake us, and we could even drop out and go down to 8th in the table if things didn't go our way. If we did that, absolutely we were sacked, and I think even if we were 7th, we were going to get sacked. We saw that we hadn't actually completed some of our objectives around Youth Academy, but we had such a small amount of budget, we couldn't even send out a youth scout to one of the cheapest nations on the game like New Zealand or Korea. Somehow, we just about scraped a playoff position and just about kept our job. If we lose any of these games, the last 3, even the playoff final, I think that's it, the end of this series. So there's a lot of pressure on us going into this first match against Gillingham. Now, to be honest, this is probably one of the most boring matches of the season. There was obviously a lot of pressure on both teams, but our best attack was this one here from Harry Pell, which was just a long shot from the edge of the box. But that was literally it. That was our only chance. Gillingham didn't really have any chances, and that meant we were into the second leg already, 0-0 on aggregate, and I already can promise you that this game is going to be a lot better and a lot more fun to watch. We found quite a lot of success in this match running down the wings. Kern had the beating of his fullback, but unfortunately Gordon couldn't quite get in behind just then. Gillingham were a big threat in this match as well. They had a shot here, we caught the man late, and yeah, that's fair enough, that's absolutely a penalty. Macaulay Bond would step up, and our goalkeeper would stop it. We get to the rebound as well, so we kept it 0-0. If you want to see how important aggression can be on a player, look at this. He just totally wins 2 or 3 50-50s against the same guy just because he has like 92 aggression. It led to a chance, and we could easily have gone ahead in the playoff semi-final, and that could even have been the winner. We gave away a silly free kick just before half-time right here. Mahoney would step up. His long ball would be met by us, but the rebound would fall to a Gillingham player. They were 1-0 up, and that meant we now had to attack, which we're not actually that great at. Somehow though, we got Bugiel through 1-on-1, and it would be his shot that found the side netting. I really like the finish, and honestly, I really like the celebration as well. That was kind of an uncharacteristic counter-attack from us right there. As good as our play was in that moment, that would actually be the last chance for either team in this match. With it 1-1 on aggregate, that meant it was going to go to penalties. Their player would step up first, send our goalkeeper the wrong way. Harry Pell would step up, and it didn't really look like his penalty actually crossed the line, but he celebrated and it was given, so of course we'll absolutely take it. If we missed this one though, we were out, so it was a big pressure here on Iredale. He's never missing that, straight into the top corner. Absolutely amazing composure. Mahoney would step up from them, and it's finally, there's been a save in the penalty shootout, so that meant if Vela can score here, we are through to the final. He goes down the middle just like Pell, and just like Pell, it counts as a goal. Well, I'm very happy with that result. The AI is actually really good at saving penalties on FC24, so somehow we've got through to the League Two playoff final. We're playing a team we have quite a bit of history with on this channel. I did a 7-year save with Notts County on last year's game, and this year, they're the only team that's standing in our way to play in League One next year, something that AFC Wimbledon haven't done for a couple of years, and of course, a big step in our progress that we want to make back to the top. We did start the playoff final actually twice because there was actually a really bad kick class there, with the game deciding both teams wanted to play in blue. After we swapped it, it was time for the playoff final proper to begin. Knockout had our first chance hitting over the bar. Knockout also had our second chance, much closer this time, actually hitting the bar, and we couldn't quite recycle the play into a second chance. With Notts County being one of the best teams in the league according to player ratings, we were surprised about how many chances we actually had early on in the game. Bugiel would get the first goal for us right here, a nice finish, and then doing the Diego Jota celebration, a cool, nice touch from him right there as well. But Notts County were a gegenpress team, and they surprised me with how good of a pressing team they really were. Crowley won the ball, he gave it to Macaulay Langstaff, he would pass it to Sidibe, his rebound would fall to John Bostock, and he's probably the man with the highest composure on the pitch. He's absolutely never missing that one. Notts County would get another chance right here. Sam Austin, but it's a great save from our goalkeeper, keeping it 1-1. So after a really good start for us, we were all of a sudden under a total barrage. We just about held out 1-1 at half-time, but that meant we had 45 minutes to either decide to defend or to just try and go for the win. And we decided, absolutely, we're going for a 2-1 win in this game. Knowles would run down the wing. His low cross could easily have found the man in the middle. Next up was Harry Pell getting the ball deep. He would charge forwards towards the end of the box, and a power shot. He had scored a couple of those for us this year, but unfortunately for us, he didn't quite score that one. Kuhn would get the next chance. It's like 3-on-2, knockout 1-on-1. How has he missed that? He's absolutely our highest rated player. We had to sub him off after that because there's no way that someone like Josh Gordon, who just came on, would have been missing a chance like this. This was a very controversial moment. Kinsella chesting it over the Notts County defender, being rugby tackled, and then not even getting a foul. It would have been a penalty and potentially a chance for us to score the winner. The referee would blow for full time, meaning this one was also going to extra time. Our players were already tired because we were trying to press just like Notts County were doing. They would hit the post, Langstaff, and then just about we managed to dive on the ball and keep the rebound from ending up in our net. We had a really good chance for a counter-attack here. We kicked the ball around Rawlinson, and he took one for the team right there. I'm surprised that's only a yellow card because that could easily have been counted as a last man and a red card. Irakuda had just enough pace to get around the defence right here. He cut inside and his finish blocked by Rawlinson, the man that potentially shouldn't even have been on the pitch. But that was it. We kept the ball right towards the end, and that meant this game was also going to a penalty shootout, just like the Gillingham playoff semi-final had too. One of the biggest downgrades I've noticed on FC24 is that you can't actually pick your penalty takers, so it's just sort of done in order of how good they are at penalties, which is a little bit of a shame. But anyway, Gregorio was clearly our best penalty taker. No way anyone's stopping that. McGoldrick would be theirs too. A good shot from him. Gordon, who of course came on from knockout, would be the next man up, straight into the top corner. And this is basically how it would go until it was 4-4. Knowles would be the man to step up. He's a right wing back, but really he's a striker. And he finished that absolutely like an attacker would. It all came down to this penalty. Could Sanev stop Namane? The fans were absolutely nervous as the young winger stepped up. The goalkeeper didn't dive, and that was the right decision. He caught the ball, he runs off celebrating, and AFC Wimbledon are a League One team again. It was very touch or go if we'd even be the manager towards the end of the season. In fact, we were so close to getting fired. We got 3 emails the day before the actual playoff semi-final started saying our position was under review. As ominous as that sounds, we kept our job, and we're going to have to perform a lot better next year if we actually want to be in charge for a potential Season 3. But hopefully you'll come back and you'll be ready to watch Season 2 with us, and I'll be uploading that video very, very soon. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Opera GX for supporting this video by sponsoring it. And as we lift the trophy, the playoff final trophy, I'm going to say thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Cheers and goodbye.